Welcome back to the second part of our Onshape tutorial on how to build a birdhouse. In the last video, we already built the base as well as the front piece. Off camera, I have already built the next pieces that we're going to be needing, which is the back piece as well as the side pieces for the left and right side. Notice how I click right. I can now view this piece that was drawn within the right view plane. Once again, make sure your wall is drawn into the right view plane whenever you draw that piece. That way when you insert it here, it is already oriented correctly. Our next part that we're going to go over as part of this tutorial is going to be a simple one. The first one that we're going to make will be our dowel rod, or our perch that comes off the front and that a bird can sit on. So, this piece is going to be drawn within the front view plane. So we'll select the front view plane and click sketch in the top left hand corner. Once we've hit sketch and our sketch box appears, we can now hit front in our top right viewfinder in the top right of the screen. Once we've got that adjusted, we can click center point circle up in the top left hand corner. Now we'll just click on the origin point and pull the circle to any random size. Once we have that clicked, we can now type in our measurement of 0.25 inches or 1/4 of an inch and hit enter. This is it. This is all the drawing that we have to do for the perch. Our next step, once we've altered our viewfinder to the top right hand corner, is we go to the extrude button and hit extrude. The extrusion on this is different than all other parts in that this piece will be 2.5 inches long. So, in my depth right here, I'll type 2.5 inches and hit enter. Now I hit check mark and my dowel rod is done. Now that our dowel rod is done, our next piece that we must create is going to be the roof. In this tutorial, we're going to draw the roof as one solid piece, as to make installing it on the birdhouse a lot simpler. Keep in mind, in reality, when we build this, it will be two pieces as drawn in this image. But for our drawing today, we will make it as one solid continuous piece. So, now that we're back into our Part Studio window, we're going to click the plus sign in the bottom left-hand corner and select Create Part Studio. Now that I'm in my new Part Studio for drawing the roof, I can now select the plane that I want to draw in. If we look at this picture of the birdhouse, we see that we can see the angles from the front view, but we can't see them from either the right view or from the top view. See how we cannot describe those angles from either of those views? So we will draw this view from the front. So, first step, we'll click our plane that we want to draw in, wait till it is highlighted orange. Once it's highlighted orange, we will click sketch in the top left-hand corner, and our sketch box will appear. Now that our sketch box is there, we can hit front on our viewfinder, and now our view is aligned. Remember, to draw our rectangles in this program, the center point rectangle is far easier. So, what I'm going to do for drawing my roof, even though it's not a rectangle, is I'm going to draw a 10 by 10 rectangle. So I'm going to pull this to any random size, click, and type in 10 on the bottom, 10 on the left-hand side, in those highlighted boxes. Now you should have this image, a 10 by 10 square. Our next step with this square is to select our line button. With our line button, we will draw a line from our midpoint on the left side to our midpoint on the right side. And then we'll also do that from the top to the bottom, dividing our rectangle into 4 equal quadrants. So I will click on the left, pull my line over, and click on the right. I do not need this line right here, so I'm going to hit Escape. Reselect my line tool, click the center orange box, and pull my line straight down. Now that I've got this, I can start drawing my angles. Remember, on the front piece of our birdhouse, these angles were 45 degrees. So we will now do that for our roof and create the same 45-degree angle. To do that, we'll just click our line tool, and we're going to connect our left center to our top center. And then we're going to go from our top center to our right center. Now, we've got the general outline of our roof, right? Now we need to start defining the size and the shape. So I'm going to click my line tool from the top right hand corner, click back on this line, and type in 5.5. Hit enter, and now I have the width of my roof piece. Next, we'll come off 90 degrees from that face, and click at any random measurement. Now see how this is highlighted? I can type in 0.5 and hit enter, because that is the thickness of my piece. Next, I'll pull one final line from that point up to here. Now that is one side of my roof drawn. I'll draw this next side off screen real quick, just so we can power through this video. Now I have all of my lines drawn to make up my roof. So now I can go through and delete off all my extra lines from the original rectangle and the points that connect in between. Remember, if you don't have a delete button on your computer, the backspace does the same function. Now that all those lines are deleted, I'm now ready to extrude. Remember, to extrude, click your top right hand corner on the viewfinder, and this way we can see our extrusion as it happens. Our extrude button is up here in the top left hand corner, as you remember from the last video. Click it, and it will auto extrude to 1 inch. Our roof pieces, however, are going to be 10 inches. So I'll type that in on the depth. Type 10, and hit enter. Now that I've verified that this is the right size, all my measurements are good, I can hit the check mark. Now I'm done with my roof, and I'm ready to move on to the assembly stage of my project. To move on to the assembly stage, you should already have an assembly window along the bottom of your screen that you can click on. If you do not have an assembly window, you can simply click on the plus sign on the bottom left and click Create Assembly in this tab. Once we have that open in the assembly window, we can go up here to the top left where it says Insert. Click Insert. Once we click that button, it will pull up all of our parts that we've already designed. This insert function is just as it would be in PowerPoint or a Word document to insert a picture or video. Just for this program, it's our parts that we've already drawn. So I'm going to start with the base for our assembly and bring that into my studio. I'm going to put that near the origin point and drop it. Now I'm going to bring in my second piece that I'm going to attach. The order that I'm going to bring these pieces in will be the back, the two sides, the front, the perch, and the roof. So let's bring in our back piece. Notice how when I try and line this up, it's very difficult for me to get this lined up. Even if I zoom in really close, I can't quite get it lined up. So I will intentionally separate it and drop those pieces. I'm going to hit check on my insert box and close it out. To join these two pieces together, since we can't drag them and manually put them together, we'll need to do this in this way. We're going to click the Make Connector button on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Once you've selected that, this window will appear. I'll come to my bottom right-hand corner on the back of the back, and I'll put this circle right there. Note the orientation of this circle. When we apply the circle to this face, we need to make sure that it's in the same orientation. But I can't just click this face, because it will move my connector to there. So I need to move my connector back and hit the check mark to lock that in place. Now I'll add another Make Connector to the base and make sure that it's in the same orientation. Notice how those are both oblong circles. Once I have that secured, I'll hit the check mark. Now, to get these two to put together, we still need to do one more tool. We need to come up here to the Fasten Mate button in the top left-hand corner and click on that. When we're assembling this, you need to click on the piece that you're adding in first and then the main piece that you're adding it to. Now it auto-locks into place and you're ready to move on to the next piece. So now I'll bring in my two side pieces and I'll show you how that we mount those. So I'll drop that one in place and bring in another one for this corner. Let me hop off the screen for just a moment and go ahead and attach all my mate connectors to these corners. Now that I have all my mate connectors attached to the proper corners, I'm now ready to put this all in place. So I'll zoom in just a little bit and I'll hit the Fasten Mate button once again. Remember, click the part that you're wanting to move first. Then click where you're wanting to move it to. See how that works? Now I'll hit the check mark and move on to the other side. I've already got my connectors here, so I'll hit the Fasten Mate button, click the piece that I'm moving, and click where I want it to go. And I'll hit my check mark once again. Always make sure that you hit that check mark, or you may accidentally undo your progress. Now what's our next piece? We've already got our base, our back, and our sides. Let's go ahead and bring in the front piece. So I'll open my Insert tab and drop that piece into place. Now, remember, to get this put into place, I need to use my mate connectors. So I'll click in the top left-hand corner and put one connector right here on the piece that I already have. Then I'll take another connector and mount it onto the front piece. Remember, make sure that these circles are in the right orientation. Let me show you what happens if we put them in the wrong orientation. So if I take my circle and put it on here in the wrong direction, and I go to click those together with my Fasten Mate button, let's see what happens. You see how that's oriented the wrong direction now? This can be very difficult to undo. So let's make sure that when we put those circles on, that we put them in the correct orientation. Now I'll hit my check mark, and now I'm ready to use the Fasten Mate tool. Click the part that I'm moving, and click where I want to move it to. Now I have two pieces left that I still need to bring in. I need to bring in my perch and my roof piece. Remember the order that we built them in? That'll be the order that we mount them in here. The reason why is because when we do our mate connectors, we won't be able to access this hole once the roof is on. So, let me go ahead and add my mate connector to the back side of the front. Click it there, and then hit check. Now I still need my perch, right? Let's go to Insert, click on my perch, and drop it in place. Now all I need to do is add my connector to the perch, and then fasten the two together. So I've now added my mate connector, and now I'll hit the Fasten Mate tool. Clicking my perch first, and then the hole where it goes. Now my perch is perfectly centered where it needs to be. Now our last piece, the most difficult piece of all of them to bring into the studio. It's going to be our roof. So let's open up our Insert tab and click on the roof. For lining up the roof, I like to start by putting a mate connector on both the peak here as well as the peak on the end of our birdhouse. When we do that, we will not have an overhang on the back. That step will come in a moment. So, let's put our mate connector on the top, hit our check mark, and then our mate connector on the underside of the roof, and hit our check mark. Now I'll hit my fasten mate button, click the part that I am moving to the stationary part. Oh, I got something wrong. Let me go back through and revise that. Sorry for the quick pause, I just clicked in the wrong place. So now I've clicked here, and now I'll click this spot and move the roof into place. Now that I've done this, I can hit my check mark, and then we're done, right? Wrong. We still need to move the roof back 1 inch of an overhang on the back. You see how this looks disproportionate on the front of the house? So let's rotate around and figure out how to move this. I will delete this connector off of this location and get it out of my way. Now I can simply click on the back side of my birdhouse and drag it over. You see how I did one click? Just on this back face. Just one click. Then I can click this arrow and start pulling it over as far as I need to. In this text box, it is not easy to type in the number 1, so just drag it over manually to the number 1 spot. Now I'll hit escape, click elsewhere on the screen, and now my birdhouse is done. If you want to, you can also delete your connectors out of the way. That way your birdhouse looks nice and presentable. Let's clear all these out. Now our birdhouse is done, and now if we need to build a physical one, we know where we're starting. If you have any questions, please send me an email, put a comment on this video, and I'll be happy to assist you in any way that I can. Thank you. Have a great day.